Transformation is the buzzword at this year's UN General Assembly meetings. The overarching theme is a watershed moment, transformative solutions for interlocking challenges. And there isn't a shortage of interlocking challenges, pressing challenges facing the world today, from climate change to the global food security, to the war in Ukraine, and so on. And one issue that many activists within the UN system and outside are trying to push to the top of the political agenda here at the United Nations this week is education. Joining me now to discuss this issue is the Assistant Director General for Education at UNESCO, Stefania Giannini. Stefania Giannini, a 3-day summit has just wrapped up, so quite an issue of importance for a lot of heads of states, but there's also a lot of competing other issues on their plate. How do you make this issue go beyond the slogan, transforming education? How do you make it have an impact on a practical level?
Well, I think it's a turning point for education globally. We heard at the General Assembly, it is unprecedented, dozens heads of states and governments yesterday to commit to transform education at national level in their countries. It's not about slogan. It's not about promises, it's about concrete commitments to advance gender equality in education, to put girls back to school, to take the real commitment to have integrated refugees and displaced children for conflicts or climate change impact in schools. So it's just to give an example. So it's really unprecedented that education has been brought out on top of the political agenda here at the UN.
Beyond the political commitments and the lofty, ambitious goals that we so often hear politicians make, can there be a global movement for this global crisis? That's what the UN Secretary General has said is required. We know that the pandemic has disrupted the education of 90% of the world's children. We also know there's the issue of lack of inclusion, inequality, with 70% of 10-year-olds in poor countries not able to read basic text. How do you change that? Is there the political will? Is there the financial investment that is required?
There is the global movement which started in these 3 days. Youth are very much on top of this agenda, and this is the first time that young people ask for education to be prioritized. They did a great job on climate change, as you know, so now they think that not having education and inclusion in education means not having their future in their hands. So this is a big difference from the recent past. In addition, we have an accountability framework globally. UNESCO is hosting the governance of the system, and we'll be able to measure to what extent these commitments here that governments have taken at the highest level can be really translated into actions. Of course, financing is a big part of the equation. Some initiatives have been launched yesterday, new innovative mechanisms, but I think that this is the point in the coming weeks and months where we have to focus, where we to have really to make noise, to shake the world about the huge gap that education still have. 50 billion a year to reach the education, quality education for all, SDG 4 in 8 years.
This, of course, highlights the incredible and growing divide between the global south and the wealthy global north when it comes to the inequalities that are still present and the lack of inclusion in so many respects. But good to hear that there is that mobilization and there is that global movement beginning. Stefania Giannini, the Assistant Director General for Education at UNESCO, thanks very much for joining me. And as you just heard, education being pushed quite actively by so many people to the top of the agenda. The question is, will there be enough political will and resources to make this an issue that truly deserves the political leaders' attention? It remains to be seen. From the United Nations, Ghida, Fakhry.